Look into this play, we realize that how do we look at this play? What are the ways in which this play can be interpreted? As I told you in the beginning, it's a play dealing with the young minds, the psyche of the adolescents, where they realize that they are possessed by some passion they understand. They cannot make out a difference between infatuation and true love. And this happens with our protagonist also. The protagonist is a young man, who has fallen in love with a woman called Rosalind. His love remains unrequited, not responded, and he takes his infatuation for love. He thinks that this infatuation is true love until he meets Juliet. So this is the world of infatuation and love, powerful passions, and to enjoy the proximity of each other. So if you take it in the psychological perspective, we realize that it's a play which can allow us to read the psyche of the young people, especially those young people who are in their teens, who are in the adolescent period, and they are, you can say, disturbed mentally by the physical development, the psychic development that they undergo, and then they realize that they have some kind of a fascination for the other sex. And this other sex is something for which they are trying to realize or trying to understand. So one of the elements that the play would talk about is the element of love, and psyche is connected with that, and therefore love, as people say, is blind, but people have to change their idea that love is something, a redeeming feature of human life. Passion could be blind, so love has that ability, it has the potential to transcend human conflicts. But this love has its roots in passion, sexuality, and this sexuality is emphasized again and again in this play called Romeo and Juliet. So when you meet Romeo, you feel that here is a man who has come down from the families of Montagues, a man of honor, hot-blooded man, suffering from melancholy because his love has not been responded properly by Rosalind. And when he enters into that ball at Capulet's place and happens to see Juliet, and the love at first sight takes place, he realizes that, his love for Rosalind was nothing but infatuation. And all of a sudden, there is a touch of transformation. And this is what Shakespeare does. Shakespeare does not speak about infatuation or love, but he underlines the importance of the difference between infatuation and love through the perception of Romeo. So when we meet Romeo, what we realize is he is a young man fallen in love with a young girl, love at first sight. And look at the time sequence in this play. It's like very, very brief time span. And young friends, time is a very, very difficult concept. Time is, we go by the mechanical time. What we wear on our hands, watches, we are guided by clocks, towers, and they show that time. But the experience of time is different. And this experience of time is a very vital part of love. Take it from me that when you want to experience love, when you want to experience time, time can be experienced only in one process, which is called waiting in love. When you wait for someone, you realize that time doesn't pass. And when the beloved comes or the lover comes, the complaint is always that you have come very late. Why this? Because for the first time, the individual experiences time because he is passing, he is living in moments, not in days and years and months. So this is very important. So experience of time is something very important which is being emphasized in this play. And look at the span of the time that we have that Shakespeare talks about. Romeo and Juliet meet on Sunday. It's a chance meeting. Being a Montague, he is not invited. He uninvited goes to that ball where Juliet is there. And then this is the element of chance that he comes to know who Juliet is. And Juliet also realizes that here is a man who happens to be a Montague. So look at the opposition, look at the paradox. The young woman realizes that here is a person who has stolen her heart, and yet he belongs to the opponent group, the group of the enemy, and yet she cannot cannot control her emotions and feelings. And from there begins this series of, you can say, time experiences. They meet on Sunday very briefly. The same evening, the famous balcony scene comes. We'll show you that balcony scene later on if time permits, but the balcony scene is very excellent one. And there also, Shakespeare, the great master, the great dramatist, talks about not just the sexuality, he talks about the exalted love, elevated love, the spiritual touch that he gives. He talks in the imagery of light, temple, pilgrims and all those things. When you read the poetry, you realize Romeo talks in a language of, you can say, spirituality. He describes his own lips as two pilgrims trying to reach the shrine, the goal of his life. Now when you look into this, we have an understanding of human psyche, especially the young psyche, and how they visualize time. I was talking about time, and that's why look at the short span of time that we have here. They meet on Sunday, first time. There is a balcony scene, the wooing scene, where they unlock their hearts to each other. And this man, young man, goes in a haste to Friar Lawrence and requests him that they should be married. Lawrence is unhappy over his change in love. He thought the young man is suffering from carnal desires. He is changing his object of carnal desires. He reprimands, he scolds him for his change. He says he should have waited for Rosalind's love. But he is also a man who is guided by the force of love, so he agrees that he would see to it that they get married on Monday. Look here, on Sunday they meet, the wooing takes place later in the evening. Monday they get married. The same evening their love gets consummated. Consummation of love is fulfillment of love. They are together for a brief time. And this brief time is again a very short time. And meanwhile, this young man has experienced obstacle in his way of fulfillment of his being together. He has done something which has created problems for him. And what is that? He has killed a man called Tybalt, a young man from Capulet family. And this he has done as an act of his own understanding. Look here, when we say somebody is a protagonist or a tragic protagonist, then we have to remember two things. A tragic protagonist takes actions according to his own choice. He has a choice and he acts according to that. Though he may be impulsive, he may be rash, he may be desperate, but his choice is very significant. Here also, when he kills Tybalt, he kills for the sake of honor, and he feels that it is his duty to do that. He has a turmoil in his heart because he feels that should he act in a rash manner or not. His friend is killed, and it is his duty to kill the young man who belongs to the opponent's camp. And then he takes a decision because he feels that if he does not do this, he would be injuring his honor, or he would prove himself effeminate. And this is why he takes this fatal action, and this fatal action brings about a change in his life. Prince has to impose law and order, and this young man is banished. This young man has to go to a place called Mantua. He is exiled. And look at the separation between these lovers. They live in moments, both these young people. They have married, they have met on Sunday, wooed the same evening, married on Monday, and they are separated. Look at the fates of them. Both are separated at the time when their proximity is very important for them. And then they realize that the obstacle that comes in their way is the obstacle called ill will. That is one, ill will of the people, and ill luck. Both of them realize that they are being dogged, chased by an element called fate. When we say that it's a treasury of fate, what we are doing? We give importance to fate. But what is fate after all? How do we differentiate between fate and chance? Fate is something which is there in human psyche. It is a part and parcel of the being of that individual. So that is how fate controls human destiny. So this man, they realize that they are being dogged and chased by a powerful fate, omnipresent, omnipotent fate, which they cannot defeat. And the play shows us that there is an alliance between ill luck and ill will. Ill will is between the families that they have inherited. Both Montagues and Capulets have given to them the ill will. The ill will is in Verona because of them. They are people who have generated that kind of a thing. And ill luck is because of their own actions. So when the two joins hand, it becomes a tragedy of desperation. Desperation, when we say, desperation is the extreme moment in life when a man is ready to do and die. He is ready to stake everything. He is ready to do anything for the sake of his own goal. And this is what we see in Romeo and Juliet. And that's why when we want to interpret this, we say the time span that we have before us is a very short time span. So Shakespeare emphasizes how these young people meet on Sunday, get married on Monday. Tuesday is the day of banishment. They experience separation. Wednesday, the father emphasizes that the girl Juliet should get married to a person, young man called Paris. Preparations are on the way. And Friar Lawrence gives some kind of a help to bring about some change here. And what is his role? His role is to offer the young Juliet potion, a drug, which would induce sleep and some kind of a simulation of death. She would take that potion on a particular day, and on the day of Thursday, when the marriage is fixed up, she would be found dead. And then when she would come out from that effect of the drug, she would be taken away from the vault with the help of this young man Romeo coming back from Mantua. This is all well arranged. But now the role of chance takes place. As I told you, chance is something which can be called coincidence. The first chance, the element of chance is when we see that the servant of the Capulets, the messenger who is bringing invitation cards, brings those cards to this young man, and there he gets an opportunity to enter the Capulets' ball dance. Another chance is, by chance he meets Tybalt. He doesn't know, but then there is an encounter between them. This encounter is also the act of chance. Again, when the potion is given, by chance, the effect of the potion is delayed, the drug is delayed, effect is delayed, and the girl does not Juliet does not awaken from her sleep in right time. And one more fact is, Friar Lawrence had asked Friar John to take his message to Mantua to inform Romeo that he had administered a potion to Juliet, and he will have to be cautious about that he would not consider her to be dead. But unfortunately, once again a chance, it does not allow him to reach there. And ultimately the result is Romeo comes on his own, and he realizes that Juliet is dead before he arrives. So for that the course changes. Now what we are doing here is, the element of chance has played its role. As I told you, ill will is there, ill luck is there, fate and chance join together, and the fate of these lovers is completely changed. What we do now here is, when we look into this, we are talking about it as a tragedy of desperation. What is desperation? As I told you, the element of doing something as a man realizes that it is his duty to do something for the realization of his goal. And what is the mission? Their mission is not only to get married, but to be together. And the definition of love in this play is that when you fall in love, you allow your I capital, to be merged with the I of the other. What you do is, you allow your I to be merged with the I of the other. You surrender your ego. You merge yourself with the I of the other, and you become a non-entity. This is the experience of love. This they have realized, and this they want to perpetuate. They want this to be an enduring experience. They want to see that this love, this experience of love, should be prolonged,